Yes.
So I saw a story this morning. Peyton Manning says the Broncos are very interested in JJ McCarthy, the Michigan quarterback, draft again tomorrow. So I would say about maybe every third draft, not every draft, but about every third draft, second draft, there is a star quarterback, going to be a first-round quarterback, and I just don't get it. I mean, I have my favorites, ones I like, don't necessarily like as much, but there'll be guys I don't get. I don't get it. Tebow, Johnny Manziel, Mitch Trubisky, Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson. I just didn't get it. I was writing all of them. Don't confuse that with Baker Mayfield. I said that's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I still think he's one of the 20th best quarterbacks on the planet. I thought he was a bit immature. I didn't think he was ready to be a number one pick. I didn't think he was that talented. I thought it was a reach. Daniel Jones, I didn't buy it all. Baker's got talent. He wouldn't have been a guy I would have drafted number one, but he got talent. Don't confuse it with that. So my quarterback this year, that's a star, and I don't get it, is JJ McCarthy of Michigan. I think he's Mitch Trubisky with a better college coach. He's mobile. He's a nice kid, but his ball dies. His ball dies. He misses easy stuff, misses too many layups. And unless his feet are pointed in the right direction and he is set and he's got time and he can look down his receiver, he's not that accurate consistently. I just don't see it. And again, what I just described, protection, your feet are set, you've got everything ready to deliver. You've got space. That's Michigan. That's not the NFL. At Michigan, you had perfect protection. The kid got sacked like almost never. I think he got sacked like in 13, 14 games. He got sacked like 17 times, once a game. He played with a lead. He had a run game. That is not the NFL. What are you when stuff implodes? When you have to throw moving left? When you have to constantly avoid, even Drew Brees, who didn't have the big arm and wasn't hyper athletic, or Brady, constantly moving within the pocket, constantly having to throw when you're uncomfortable in a muddy pocket. That's not Michigan. McCarthy's not that big. His arm is pretty average. The Ringer's Ben Solak on JJ McCarthy, Ringer Bill Simmons thing, he said there are some real red flags on his profile. He said, I found his accuracy to the outside really wanting, especially to the left. His velocity starts to tail off. It's very Trubisky. That's what I see. It's very Trubisky, which is worrisome, and his mechanics start to crumble as well. The red flags don't preclude JJ from NFL success. They make him seem a little scheme specific. And I've said this. I think he works in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, and a great left tackle. I think he can work in Michigan, but I don't think he's a top 5 guy ever, and I see a lot of Trubisky. He is my I don't see it quarterback. I'll say it right now. I like Caleb and Jalen Daniels. I get the traits of Drake May. I think Bo Nix works if he gets Sean Payton. I think Penix can work if he gets Mike McDaniel, or maybe that Seattle situation where this college OC is now the Seahawks OC. But the JJ one, boy, it's got to land perfect to work, in my opinion. Jordan Palmer, who does this for a living, he's worked with Mahomes and Allen and Burrow. His thoughts on JJ McCarthy as a prospect.
Before each game at Michigan, when, Harbaugh's hitting his pads and all that stuff in pregame, there was an understanding that they were going to rush for 250 yards that day. Had we seen games where they asked him to throw it 40 times and he just completed half of them and threw 2 picks, then that'd be different. That never happened. And so, unfortunately, when you're drafting anybody at the top, you have to make assumptions because we can't see how they were in the NFL, different than in free agency. We can literally look at how you stack up against NFL defenses. We can't do that in the draft. That's why it's an imperfect science.
Yeah. I think Jordan has the same concerns I do. I talked to an NFL scout last night. I don't quite see it. Not saying it can't work, but it would all have to line up perfectly to work to any degree. That's my opinion on JJ McCarthy. So this story is kind of shocking to me. The Patriots have the 3rd pick. They are willing to move it. And the story this morning, they have not received a serious offer for the 3rd pick. So remember the quarterback position. It's never been, let's start our entire discussion with this. It's never been a more quarterback-important, quarterback-centric league, quarterback-crucial league, now more than ever. Can't build around a run game. Quarterback has never been more important. And if you get the right one, Mahomes, Brady, they change the franchise. If you get a really, really great one, Lamar Jackson, he's worth up to 11 points a game. J.J. Watt, at his height as the best defensive player in the league, was worth less than a point. Brady, 19 years as a starter in New England. This is when initially it was a run league more than a pass league, 17 playoffs. Mahomes, 6 years as a starter, 6 AFC championships. There's no comparable position. I grew up with Walter Payton and Barry Sanders, to my eyes, the two best running backs I've ever seen in the entire league. In 23 total years, they made the playoffs in a run league less than half the time. And yet I still think at least half the coaches in this league, overwhelmingly the defensive coaches, don't get the value of quarterback. They don't get it. They show no urgency. They just don't get it. It's like water. It's free medicine. If you have a headache, they tell you, drink water. After a race or during a race, what do they tell you? Hydrate, water. I've had doctors say, first thing they ask, are you drinking enough water? Yet as a society, all we do is pound caffeine, which dehydrates us. We drink alcohol, which dehydrates us. Literally professional athletes, during games, after games, what do coaches say as they get on the plane? Hydrate, water, hydrate, Gatorade, water, hydrate, free medicine. Most Americans don't drink enough. And I look at the NFL and I think this is why a third of the coaches get fired every league. Maybe they deserve to be fired. The Patriots haven't received a serious offer. A third of this league is awful at quarterback. Half of this league is just not good enough at quarterback. And there's 6 great ones on the planet. And I believe the 2 best quarterbacks are Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. Many like Jaden over Caleb. I saw another story today. Another scout said he's deeply concerned about the personality of Caleb. I'm not. He is. He's not the only scout. So if Jaden isn't selected second, you could get the best quarterback in this class, according to about a third of the scouts. The best quarterback, if Washington decided to take Drake May. Now, there's others that think Drake May has the best traits of all of them. He's taller, he's bigger, he's heavier than Caleb or Jaden Daniels. So getting to the number 3, and we know this to be true, that, let's look at where the best quarterbacks in the NFL have fell to. Who was the best quarterback in last year's class? It wasn't the number 1 quarterback. It was the second quarterback taken, C.J. Stroud. Lamar Jackson was the 5th quarterback taken. Josh Allen was the 3rd quarterback taken. Tom Brady was like 8th. Patrick Mahomes was 2nd. So that 3rd pick by New England, in a league where quarterback's never been more important, where the best defensive player will be worth less than half a point, in a quarterback-centric league, nobody has called him about the 3rd pick. And again, I will double down and triple down on this. Because there is great disagreement on Drake May and Jaden Daniels, you could be getting the 2nd best quarterback in this draft, and there are a handful of scouts. If Jaden Daniels dropped to 3, you'd be getting the best. And recent history shows you the best quarterback in the draft is not the first one taken. Lamar was the 5th. Mahomes the 2nd. Allen the 3rd. C.J. Stroud the 2nd. I feel bad when people lose their jobs, but there's a reason a third or a quarter of the NFL coaches every year lose their job. New England hasn't received a serious call on this? Are you kidding me? It's the only position. I have friends who have coached in the NFL, and they acknowledge, we couldn't get the quarterback right. So I went to college. I just couldn't get the quarterback right. Those are the smart guys. Those are the guys I feel bad for. But never forget, a third of this league right now has a bad quarterback, and half has a quarterback that's not good enough. It's nuts to me. It's the only position worth over a point. And again, Lamar Jackson, if you go to games he's played with the Ravens and games he's missed, it's 11 points. Vegas thought Aaron Rodgers in his prime was worth 10.5 points. The average NFL game's decided by 4. What are we doing here? Somebody call New England. They want to take the call. They want to make a move.